Good afternoon. It's really a pleasure to be able to addressing you here in this very beautiful reception hall, and very same building where I many years ago graduated from. So it's really a special occasion for me. I'm here representing the Confederation of Danish Industry. I hope you all know the building, at least who of you who are from Copenhagen. Just across the City Hall. It's quite new, reconstructed only 3 years ago. But it's not what I'm going to talk about, just don't worry. The Confederation of Danish Industry is by far the largest employer and business organization in Denmark. We represent around 10,000 private companies across almost all sectors in Denmark. This means both manufacturing industry, it's within food industry, manual services, professional service firms, and then, of course, also the healthcare sector. It's very important for me to emphasize, at least to who are you who are from other countries, that the Confederation of Danish Industry is totally financed by our members. It's not public funded. It's a private organization, and we provide to our members all kind of assistance relevant when you are an employer. This means collective bargaining and also legal advice when you have employees in your company. Then we also provide all types of network in order to make our member companies able to grow their companies. This means provide inspiration in all these type of networks. And then finally, we deal with policy advocacy. It's both on local, national, and international level. And what do I mean by policy advocacy? It's all about regulation, international regulation, but of course also very much the European legislation and the national and local legislation in order to remove barriers for private companies, but also to have a sustainable society, because companies are citizens of our society in Denmark. That's at least how we like to look at ourselves. Well, this was just a few words about the Confederation of Danish Industry. We have as also the healthcare sector within Danish industry. And healthcare sector is many, it's a very broad definition, at least from our perspective. It's both pharmaceutical and biological development companies dealing with that. It's also medical devices, rehabilitation, e-health and information technologies, but it's also service delivery, such as cleaning, catering, laundry, of course, to the healthcare industry, you might say the hospitals, municipalities, and so forth. So it's quite a broad definition. If you take a look at the healthcare sector in Denmark, the private healthcare sector, it's quite big. It's around 800 companies employing 35,000 employees. And it counts for 12% of all export from Denmark, which is very big. And then it stands for 3.6% of value creation in our country. So this sounds all very good. A strong, healthy sector with a lot of export, creating a lot of workplaces in Denmark. But when we look to the future, we, at least seen from Danish industry perspective, we believe that we need to do something in order to also in the future have a strong healthcare sector. Because there are, you might not say threats, but at least we need to nurse it in some way. And therefore we have asked the politicians to make a national strategy when it comes to the healthcare sector. And this strategy, as you can see, is based on 4 focus areas, and I will, of course, elaborate a little bit about those areas. First and foremost, it's about having an innovative domestic market. And my point here is it's twofold. First of all, it's about a very strong domestic home market. Because if you're going to export as a private company, it's really important that you have strong references from your home markets. And strong references is about more public-private partnerships, because our references, at least in Denmark, is the public sector. for example, the hospitals, the elder care taken care of by the municipalities, and so forth. And you cannot convince your customer abroad that you are able to deliver those services or goods in a good way if you don't have references. So therefore, it's really of crucial importance that we have this strong home market. The other side is the innovative products or services. And this, therefore, you need to, it's a little bit technical, but you need to focus on total cost of ownership. When you buy a product or services as a public entity or municipality or whatever, hospital, if you just focus on the cost right here and now, buying a service or product, you might not necessarily get the most innovative product or services. You need to look at a longer-term perspectives, as I guess you can imagine. It costs a lot of money to develop new services and new products, research, development, and so forth, and it might make the product services more expensive right now, but on a long-term perspective, it should be worth it. So that's one or two important points. Then we need international business opportunities. Of course, you might say, but what do I mean by this? And by this I mean spreading the word about our strong healthcare sector we have in Denmark. But it's also about very targeted and focused export promotions that our foreign ministry takes care of, that we focus on this sector when we deal with export promotions. And then, of course, it's about getting rid of all the red tape we have on many markets, not necessarily on the European markets, but on markets more abroad, where there are restrictions on companies trying to establish themselves or to export product or services. And this is about free trade agreements, as I guess you all know about. For example, we, at the moment, not we, but the government, the European Union, negotiate with the United States about having a free trade agreement. The third leg, or the third focus area, is about you. It's about having access to a well-educated workforce. And firstly, it's about our brand or our image abroad, seen from our perspective, seen from a business perspective. It's of crucial importance that we can not only foster talent here in Denmark, but that we are able to attract talent from other countries. It can be a delicate issue, but it's at least what we say. We think it's really important, and that's what our member companies tell us all the time. We cannot rely only on what we can produce in our own country. Therefore, we have an initiative. It's not new, but it's have existed a few years in Danish Industry, which is called Consortium for Global Talent, and that's a few people trying to work on our image abroad, and that we, seen from a business perspective, find it important that we can attract all these well-educated people to Denmark. The other part of it is, of course, that we are able to produce all those talents here in Denmark. And do we have enough? No, we don't have enough. We don't have enough of people graduated within natural health and technical science. And I guess it's welcoming that I say it to you in this audience. You're all from the science, I guess, and not from humaniora or whatever. But what we ask for in Danish Industry is that we get the level up from 23% to 30% within some years. So I hope you have noticed it sometimes when you read newspapers that we cry out all the time, more people in science, please, because that's what we need. The fourth area is within research and development. At the moment, Denmark spent around 1% of GDP from our public budget on research and development. And this is not enough. In our view, we should raise this level to 1.5%. And we have actually produced a plan. We have a plan, we like to say, a master plan. We call it our 2025 plan. it's financed, and we have said to the government, you need to spend much more money in research and development, at least 4.5% of GDP from public spending, and you should reach this target in 2025. But it's not only about the money, it's important, it's also about better cooperation between universities, the students, the professors, and also the companies. And I know here you have Pernille from Højberg right there. We have luckily a representative from companies right here in this room today. And we know there's a very good cooperation already, but this could be spurred even more, our cooperation between universities and companies. And one example is the industrial PhD. We already have it, and we know from interviews with our member companies that they very much support it, and they get a lot of results from having industrial PhD in their companies, not only when they, at the time they are employed there, but also afterwards, because it, of course, it creates an environment for exchanging ideas and cooperation about new ideas and better products and services. Another example could be that you have a better flow between companies and the university environment, that you have part-time professors working part-time in university and part-time in companies. It's already there, but it's not used or utilized enough in our point of view. So this is two important areas. And then just one point. It's all about the money, but it's also about where you spend the money. And allow me just to point to the fact that when it comes to the area of health science, you are quite well off at the moment. Compared to other OECD countries, we are the country that spent the most, not by actual numbers, but per percentage, on health sciences here in Denmark. So to allow me just to conclude, I hope you have got the point that we have a very strong healthcare sector in Denmark, that we from Confederation of Danish Industry do a lot, and we find it very important to strengthen this healthcare sector. And in order to strengthen it, so we also have a strong healthcare sector in the future, we need a national strategy based on 4 areas. It's about having a strong domestic market for innovative products and services. It's about having international business opportunities. It's about having a well-educated workforce within science, the science field. And of course, it's also about spending enough money on research and development and to foster more cooperation between universities and companies. And I hope that all of you will be a part of this in the future. So allow me to thank you all for having this opportunity to talk to you today, and hopefully you will have a nice rest of the afternoon. Thank you.